Imagine a world where medicine was not about pills, machines, or advanced science, but about the belief that your life and health depended on the very blood flowing through your veins. For thousands of years across cultures and civilizations, people believed that sickness came from an imbalance in the body. And the solution, strangely enough, was to let the blood flow out. This bizarre yet fascinating practice, known as bloodletting, was once considered the most powerful cure in the world, a treatment that kings and peasants alike submitted themselves to, believing it could heal anything from fever to madness, from headaches to the plague itself. The roots of bloodletting go back to ancient Egypt, where early physicians, guided by mysticism and religious rituals, saw blood as the river of life. They believed that disease was caused by evil spirits or poisoned fluids trapped within the body, and that by cutting open a vein and releasing blood, those poisons could be expelled. From Egypt, the practice traveled to ancient Greece, where the legendary physician Hippocrates, the so-called father of medicine, developed the theory of the four humors: blood, phlegm, black bile, and yellow bile. According to him, every illness was the result of an imbalance between these humors, and bloodletting became the ultimate method to restore harmony. His ideas would dominate medicine for over 1,000 years. The Romans carried this tradition forward with their own doctors, such as Galen, spreading the belief across the empire. Galen's writings became medical law for centuries, and he argued that not only was bloodletting a cure, but it was essential for maintaining health even in the absence of disease. In medieval Europe, the practice grew darker, almost ritualistic. Monks, barbers, and physicians all took part in the act of cutting veins, using leeches, or slicing open arteries. The barber's red and white pole that you still see today is actually a symbol of this history: the red for blood, the white for bandages. Imagine peasants lining up in monasteries, rolling up their sleeves as monks drained their blood with sharpened tools, convinced it would cleanse their bodies of sins and sickness alike. During the Black Death, when the plague swept through Europe and killed millions, bloodletting was one of the most common treatments. People were bled until they grew faint, weak, and often closer to death, but they believed it was their only chance at survival. Even kings and queens submitted themselves to the practice. France's King Charles II was bled over a dozen times. In his final days, America's first president, George Washington, caught a throat infection in 1799, and his doctors bled him of nearly 40% of his body's blood. Instead of saving him, the treatment hastened his death. And yet for centuries, no one questioned it. To bleed was to heal. The tools of bloodletting were as terrifying as the practice itself: sharp knives, scalpels, and special instruments. Known as phlemes, were designed to slice veins quickly. In other cases, glass cups heated with fire were placed on the skin to draw blood through suction. Leeches were also used widely, believed to draw out the bad blood naturally. Entire jars of leeches would sit in physicians' offices, and they were applied to patients suffering from fevers, mental illnesses, even women during childbirth. For some, it became an almost noble suffering, believing that the loss of blood meant the body was purifying itself, fighting the invisible forces of disease. But behind this practice lay horror. People fainted, grew pale, and sometimes died simply from the loss of too much blood. Yet the ritual continued, defended by religion, tradition, and medical authority. In the Islamic Golden Age, bloodletting was refined further. Practiced under the guidance of scholars who blended Greek medicine with their own insights. In China, bloodletting appeared in forms of acupuncture and cupping, tied to the balance of energy known as qi. Across the world, cultures found ways to justify the same act, removing blood to restore life. The tragedy is that many lives were lost because of it. Entire villages weakened. Noble families saw heirs die. Soldiers treated for battlefield injuries grew weaker instead of stronger. And yet, the faith in bloodletting remained unshaken. It was not until the 19th century, with the rise of modern science and the discovery of germs, that doctors began to abandon the practice. New tools like the microscope revealed that disease was not about humors, but about bacteria, infections, and conditions that bloodletting could not fix. Slowly, medicine evolved, and bloodletting was pushed to the shadows of history remembered. Not as a cure, but as a dangerous superstition. Still, its echoes remain. The barber's pole on street corners, the medical texts of Hippocrates and Galen, the jars of preserved leeches in old hospitals all are reminders of an era when the world believed that salvation lay in blood. The strange history of bloodletting is a story of human hope and human error, of how people across centuries sought healing, but instead often found suffering. It shows us how far medicine has come and how fragile our understanding once was. Today we look back in awe and disbelief, but also with a strange sense of respect for those who endured, and for the endless human search to conquer illness, even when it led down the darkest paths.